Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to ECC's Lunch and Learn on the NYCSA. It's a NYCSA workshop. Please give us a few moments as we let other people come in. But in the interim, please put in the chat your name, your district, neighborhood, district or neighborhood that you're representing, and what day does it feel like for you today? What does it feel like for you today? We know what day it is, some of us, but what does it feel like today? And by all means, anyone that would like to come on camera so I could see their beautiful face and to smile with me, it is greatly appreciated. Hey, Chino.
Hello, Cherie.
Yeah, we wish we were on that beach.
Me too. I was supposed to be until my daughter got COVID.
Oh, no.
Yes, we had to cancel our trip. That's okay.
Oh, look, I had that at the beginning of the month. I was
Oh,
all set, bags packed, everything, going to LA. Boom, COVID. Not going to
yeah.
LA.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but so you know what? I got through it. I'm glad to be on the other side of it, and some other trip will come up later.
Yes, and I'm just glad my daughter's okay. So
Yes, good to hear. So it's 12:05. So I'm going to go ahead and get started because we aim to keep our lunch and learns an hour. So please, if anybody got a great lunch, you could share. I'm missing my delivery. You know, who was supposed to send the delivery for Cherie for her lunch today? But so hi, Christine. So good afternoon, everyone. As I said, welcome to ECC's Lunch and Learn on the NYCSA workshop. My name is Cherie Gibson. I am a parent leader coming out of Queens, District 29 and District 30. Whoop, whoop. Why did ECC ask me to do a NYCSA workshop? Well, one, I worked with the Education Council's outreach team last year for the for the last election. And we pretty much, because of the change and the shift and where everyone was going to be able to vote, and then DOE made the decision that they were going to use their NYCSA to do this, our outreach team became NYCSA experts because we had to get everyone on board to sign up for a NYCSA to be able to vote, to even not just to vote, to fill in your, to apply and to vote. And so it became a thing of getting parents to understand what the account was, using it, getting parent coordinators to understand how to sign up and get their people, and then the reports that were printed and stuff. So we became these big time experts of NYCSA. And then I think in a 4-month span, we had about 200,000 to 300,000 parents sign up in it. And DOE was like, wait, what? You know, and we were like, that's parent power for you. You know what I'm saying? Because all the outreach team were parents and parent leaders, and we talked about it differently, right? And so that's what, as we head into the new education council campaign season, it was ECC was like, we need to get parents, you know, make sure everyone is in the signed up for NYCSA. And, you know, the way they were talking about it was still the way DOE talks about it, right? And I'm like, that's not what the selling points are for parents for why they should have their NYCSA. And so it was like, well, you know what, let's do a workshop and let's talk about it. And let's get parents on board, ones who have accounts already and ones who don't have accounts. So that's why I'm lending my service to you guys because I want 2 things to accomplish. If you don't have a NYCSA, I want you to feel okay and comfortable about getting started and signing up for your NYCSA. If you do have one, I'm about to do a train the trainer with you guys. I want you to know how everything or what's in it so you can make sure parents are signing up for it, as well as getting people using it and understanding it and being able to say, hey, to your parent coordinators, to your FLCs, to whatever leadership, we need to make sure our parents and families are using this NYCSA. So with that said, let me launch one of my polls. All right, first up. Okay, can you see the poll on the screen?
Yep.
All right, so tell me, do you have, let's see what's in the room. Do you have an active keyword NYCSA? And so put your responses in the chat. We'll leave it open for a little view to see everyone, get everyone's response if we could. Almost there. Give them more. Hi, Lupe. One more. Okay. I think that's everybody, right? Yeah. Okay, everybody participated. Thank you. So here's the results. I think that's pretty good. That's pretty much how it is across the city, that you have anywhere from 60 to 70 when you're in a room have a NYCSA and the rest don't. And then some like, I'm not sure. I think I do. I'm kind of think, okay, so that's good to know. So I got more people that I'm training to do things. Wait, did it share results? Sorry. So I've got more people who are knowledgeable of it. That's excellent and stuff. All right. So we see where we are. We've got about 70% of the room has their NYCSA, 14 no, and 14% or each one not sure. That's cool. That's pretty par for course. So then, did it not do my another poll? All right, it didn't save it. I must not have saved it. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, you guys. All right, the other one I can move on to without, I had to stop sharing. I tell you, this tech stuff sometimes. All right, so my next one, so no. So this should be kind of easy for those of you who already have yours, right? So which one of these gets you to your NYCSA? So we've got myschools.nyc, mystudent.nyc, students.nyc, and schools.nyc.gov. Which one of these, in their URLs, or which one of these get you directly to your NYCSA? We got a couple more people to vote. One more. All right, I'm at 100%. Very interesting, okay? So it's very interesting that the one that gets you directly to your NYCSA is mystudent.nyc. You can get to it from schools.nyc.gov, but it's a convoluted because you're going to have to click through there to go to mystudent.nyc. So the answer is mystudent.nyc, but I'm not surprised by that. I'm glad none of you picked students.nyc. So right, one level we're off, like we're sure that we all know that's not it. So, but this is a common issue and problem with the NYCSA. And so I'm glad to ask, and it's good, so we can go. So I've been using its acronym all the way through, but I want to know, does anybody know what I'm saying NYCSA stands for? So anybody raise your hand or come off mute. And the way what I'm saying, I'm typing it in the chat, it is produced like that. Who do I got? I got Christine. Go ahead, Christine, up.
Well, I Googled it. I mean, before
that's what Google's for nowadays.
New York City student account, right? No, I got it wrong. I Googled it and I got it wrong.
Lupe, go ahead. Well, no, Google understands something about it, but Lupe, go ahead. What do you think it is?
I would say New York City student curriculum account. No.
No. Anybody else want to take one more to take a stab at it? Nobody that actually knows, no Chino, All right, so here's the thing. So we got the beginning part, New York City, that's the NYC, but here's the S, it's the New York City Schools Account, that's it. NYCSA Schools Account. But
Sheree, I have to intervene here. You all didn't read the email that came from the ECC? In the email, it says New York City Schools Account Workshop.
She did.
I
I wasn't gonna put them on blast about it, but okay, yes, because she did actually write it out. And that's what I thought. I said, this, don't ask it because they're gonna know, they all gonna resound it. But it's not, no shade, no anything. It is with all these accounts and acronyms and things that DOE has, it made sense. And Christine told us she Googled it and it still told her it was the student account, which there probably is something that says New York City students account, right? And this is because that's why I threw in students.nyc, because that is the email account for the students. It ends with that. And I've had a lot of parents who go, I already have a NYCSA, the kids have it. Go ahead, Lupe.
I was going to say it's quite confusing because if I remember correctly, I feel like I have 3 different accounts with New York City schools having to do with either his attendance or the IEPs or the testing and then to vote. And that was what made it that much more confusing for parents trying to direct them, because they're like, we have it. And I'm like, that's not the right one.
And you do have at least 3. You're right. You have at least 3 right now. We're going to talk about where some of the things that are happening with some of these accounts that you have with it. So we know that we have that name. So the New York City Schools Account. So I'm going to flip it and go what the account is not, right? So NYCSA is not a student account. So this is where, because sometimes we have pupil path, we have dojo, we have all these other things in school that we as parents can access, but schools can access as well, or your student can access, or they're like, oh, it's a student account for you to track. NYCSA is not that. NYCSA is a parent account. It is for you. It is for you as a parent, for your whole students, all children journey through DOE's education system. So if you have 3Kers, pre-Kers, or those of us who had kids in the system already, and then NYCSA came in and, you can add in it is an account for parents to be able to keep and track their students' education information and journey through, because it follows your student all the way through. This is an important distinction because it's for you. And that's what I want parents to know. No matter what DOE chooses to use it for and this and that, it's for our use. And it's actually one of the better things that they have done for us as parents, right? So it is not a student account. It is not a communication tool between your school and you. It is not a communication tool between DOE Central and you. So you can't email through it. You can't send messages through it or anything like that. It is not a resource. Like maybe down the line they might, I don't know, we could put in for it and stuff. But right now it's a place for you to get information, and your information that is put in there is used by DOE Central to send communication to you, but you can't send anything back to them, right? Or anything through it yet. And stuff. What's coming down the pike is schools will be able to use the same information to communicate to you, right? So let's take a look inside a NYCSA. So I tried to get our dummy accounts that we had previously. They're not active. So I'm in my actual NYCSA account. So I don't mind. No, don't put all my business out on the street, but I don't mind a little bit of the information being shown here. So you go to, and I will show you a little later in the slides, but you go to the My Student. It asks you for your email address. And this is all going for what you already have an account. We will do, if you don't have an account, how you sign in and log in. But I want you to know what's in there and what you can use it for before we talk about that. So this has definitely been upgraded since last year, and it's a nicer interface, colorful for them. And so when you click in, this is where it goes. It shows you your name and it shows you your students. If you have more than one, where mine says Avery Gibson, that it'll be, but if you have more than one student in the system, they will all have separate tiles right on the top. And then you can click into whatever you want about that particular child's information. So you see in here that it has My Student, this is specific information about their grades and test scores, forms, parent university, bully reporting support. Anytime they're going to add a new thing, they will put tiles here on the main part. But let's go into our students' information, because that's the cool stuff. So you click that tile, and then it comes into the specific information for your student. You still see up here this banner. This right now is emphasizing, and has been for the whole year, the COVID testing consent form. This is one of the things that you can use the NYCSA for, is to give consent for your student. So you don't have to sign a paper and get in and tell the school, I did send it back. You could do it automatically in here, and they have information. So as you can see, every tile represents something, some information or anything that you can get for your kids. So this is why NYCSA is important for parents and stuff. Number one, report cards. Remember, we used to get the printout report cards and get sent home, and they are cracking down on principals so hard about this. Report cards are no longer supposed to be printed and given to you in school. They're not supposed to be on Pupil Path or anything. You're supposed to come into your NYCSA, click grades, and be able to download, view the grades. Let me see if I view the grades and stuff. Don't y'all with my kid and her grades, you know, but she's doing well, so I know it's fine, you know. But you view the whatever the current marking period is. You can come into subjects, the grade, everything that was there, as well as you scroll to the bottom, and there's this PDF of the report card. This is important for all of us because report cards are going to become active next week. And this is the place that you can go to and get it. You download and have that PDF, and that is your kid's information on the report card. You can come back and get, I went quickly through it, but I'll show you. You can click pass, and it will show you all the past report cards that are still in there. So, you know, sometimes you're applying for programs or your scholarship programs or award things, and you have to show a copy of your kid's report card. Guess what? You don't have to wait to the school secretary or the parent coordinator to get that information to get you. You now have access to it for yourself as a parent to pull it, print it, use it the way you need to use it, right? So that's it. So another big thing about it is we all have to say bye-bye to Pupil Path. DOE has dropped the ball, like no more Pupil Path, as well as trust and believe the rest of them are going to follow, such as Class Dojo and what was Kangaroo and some of the others that are like communication thing. But the one that allowed you to use, that the schools used a lot, was Pupil Path, and allowed them to see grades and put grading. And after this school year, they're not allowed to do it because of the data breach. And so Pupil Path and a lot of the others are going to have to be moved. And as DOE Central sees it, that's what they created NYCSA for, is everyone to move away from that. So get to know your NYCSA, get to understand that this is where you can go to get your grades. Lisa said, my school has only gotten a term of 11. I said, oh, wow. Yeah. I would keep reporting it, Lisa, as well as letting your district, your superintendent's office know, because all the borough staff that are going to be distributed to individual district offices, and they will have to take on responsibility for it. So I would keep them aware as to that school has to update their information so families can access what they need to. So the other.
Sherry, can I ask one quick question? So there are schools that don't use Pupil Path, but use another third party like Jump Rope and Grade and a couple others.
Right.
Will they be required to switch to NYCSA as well down the road, or is it just Pupil Path?
Right now, definitely Pupil Path is off. Definitely their contract ends everything. I think with N-Grade, because my old school used to use N-Grade as well. N-Grade is one that they are letting them finish out contracts for. Kind of thing. I'm not sure about the others. I can find out from our Micah, but I know they have always planned to put it that they have to move away from using outside third parties. I think what the breach has done has intensified that. Like, no, you have to also, they could shut it down completely with Pupil Path. And I think they're going to take the summer, if the way they talk about it, they're going to take the summer and they're going to pretty much tell all school administrators, this has to stop. No more outside companies, because, you know, Pupil Path was the one that had, you know, the security measure, at least what was said, the security measures in place, and it let them down. And it was a very severe data breach. And so DOE doesn't want to go through that again with stuff. But pupil
It's
path was-
actually great because some of those third vendor grading systems are paid for by the PTA. So if we
Correct.
just could all move to
'Cause we-
NYCSA,
yeah.
that would be better. And I think it might be good to inform the schools that are not using pupil path, but something else, to let them know that they should move
start
towards
moving
switching.
using-
Yeah, so that they don't waste their money. Thank you.
Because the thing about it that's interesting is, even though you have your end grade and stuff, they still have to put their information into STARS, which feeds this. So even if your school doesn't emphasize NYCSA, it's still in there for you, because they have to, because the site that they have to put the grades in is connected to this automatically. Hands up, go ahead, Mr. Britt.
No, I was just gonna say along that path, speaking to some of my SLT members at two of the kids' schools, it seems as though there is a feeling as though the whatever it's the new DOE system is going to be called, I forgot, that like nobody wants it. They're very a lot of trepidations. They're very hesitant, and they feel like, man, it's going to be a mess. It's a DOE system, etc. And we rather just pay for an alternate, one of the competitors to IL type of deal. So to your point, I'm not sure if they're going to be allowed to do that, number one. And number two, there's a lot of hesitation specifically for the schools that I work with, regarding that.
I know there's hesitation around it, but what's interesting is they're already using stats or STARS. It's like STARS or stats, which is what administrators use to put the grading information in. So in that respect, they're already utilizing it. But what they had with pupil path in terms of being able to track through their year and being able to put through is what that functionality and what they could do within it is what they're losing. But at that one especially, I can just say with pupil path, there's no ifs, ands, and buts, like no more information from DOE will be able to be put into that system and stuff. So and some of that trepidation is on DOE Central's part to smooth that out with administrators. So they are encouraging people to utilize it. Lisa Walsh, go ahead.
Here, the piece that confuses me is that when I reported this missing information, and it also looked like information from the first report card had been altered and no longer matched the printed copy that I had. So I was told that they were going to reach out to whoever their STARS support person was. And what I don't understand is if they can print out a copy of the report card for me and it's in this system, where is the gap that it's not populating to this portal for me to see it? Because if it's there for them to compile and print, because they gave me a new hard copy, and I feel like, what is going on that it's not like matching up? Like they made this thing, it's supposed to land here. If it's in the system for them to print it, it should be landing here. So what's the deal?
Absolutely right. And that's why that needs to be escalated from your school to DIIT, because if they're able to print out
DIIT?
Yeah. So here goes the acronym. So DIIT is basically DOE, the Department of Education's IT department. It is literally division of, oh man.
Now, how do I do that? Because they really don't seem to want me to talk to anyone but them, the school.
I got you. So give me a second. If I can't do it before we end on the Zoom, I will email it to you. DIT has a help desk. They do they have email as well as call, but the email works really well. Like if you send them an email with the issue, they open a ticket and they start investigating it and stuff to resolve it and give it.
Like job title of who I'm supposed to reach out to?
No, when I give you DIIT's help desk, their email, and then you would just type in what the problem is, and then they would direct it to who is dealing with that. And so, and then get a response back to you, get in contact and response back to you, or get more detail and stuff, because you can escalate it as I'm a parent in my NYCSA trying to get, grading information and it's not coming up. I got something from school and it's not matching, and that will give them what they need to know to go, okay, let me hunt this down and stuff. But I think that will be your way, the best way, because then if it's something on the school's part, DIIT will reach out to the school and be like, something, we need to fix something with it. If it's something in their part, they will fix it and get it updated and stuff, right? So so we did the report card. Here's the next important thing, especially why we did this workshop before the end of the month. Attendance. The attendance information for your student, once the school year ends, cannot be changed, cannot go back and make any changes. So parents, going to your NYCSA, click attendance and look at your students' attendance for the year. Make sure that the dates that they have that your student was absent is, thank you, Chino. Chino put in the support hub for tech issues, a link. So make sure, Lisa, you click that. Make sure, so back to the attendance, make sure. So you see like here on Avery's thing, they have her absent on December 10th. She actually was not absent on December 10th. She was on their school's quarantine at that time, right? But the way they were doing quarantine was you had to log in each day, do an assignment or something, and then they would give your kid attendance for that day, right? So I have literally been fighting with the school for that whole week, getting each day that I have to go back and send an email saying, because they had that whole week that she's absent. So I got one more day to fight, but every other thing is fine. So the oranges are attendance, the grays are lateness, and whatever you see on your kids, if it doesn't match up with what you have in your records or anything, go back to the school pupil secretary and get them to change it before the end of the school year. Once the school year ends officially, the last day of school is the 27th, but the school year officially ends on the 30th, they cannot go back and make any changes. So right now, we don't have the issue of applying for middle school and high school of attendance. We don't know when that's going to come back in, but you want to make sure that your student's attendance record reflects and is the accurate information. So please review that. Pass that on to other parents to review it and make sure it's accurate. If it's not, make sure you put in for the changes to happen, because once the system locks out, you can't change back. So you don't want, you looking at in 8th grade, looking at 7th grade attendance and it's not accurate. And it looks like your kid has been gone, absent, has a chronic absentee problem. If you're looking at programs and stuff where they have to look at your attendance, that's going to impact it. So please make sure we do that. So the big great news, drum roll kind of thing, for those of us who have applied for kindergarten, middle school, and high school through the My Schools account. The My Schools is where you apply for all those the different middle school, kindergarten kind of thing. Supposedly coming this fall is My Schools will be merged into My Student. So you won't have to have access to a separate, different account to be able to apply to kindergarten, middle school. You now will be able to log into your NYCSA and click and be taken to the My Schools. This My Schools and My Student was a big confusion during last year on the edge. We realized, because number one, we're like, why would you name two things so closely together to confuse us parents? And then two, why'd you build two separate things anyway? Like why kind of thing? Hey, the internal silo people, whatever. But it became the biggest push from, I know, the elections team, we got the parent coordinators and the FLC, and we talked to the DIIT. We like, it does not make any sense to keep these two entities separate. The way you're using NYCSA, we should be able to log into NYCSA and go right to it. Well, they listened, they finally, they weren't able to, they were gonna do it anyway, but they were like, we better prioritize it because it's becoming an issue and because so much other things have been attached to NYCSA. So supposedly this fall, this will happen. This is just another area that helps parents, because the My Schools account, you had to get another one, you got to get a creation code for and to put in to make sure, and then people would forget about it. Because like me, you applied when you used it for kindergarten. You didn't think about it again until your kid had to go to middle school. And then you're like, what account? What My Schools? What? Same thing, middle school. You need that account for high school. And so people had to run around and find it kind of thing. So definitely. Lupe, I saw your hand up and I saw it go down, but I do want to uplift and answer your question if you still have it.
Thank you. It was about, it was about the COVID attendance because I was fighting with my son's school and I wasn't sure. I was wondering if you had any clarification, if they are supposed to be marked absent, because I feel like during the holidays, December and January, and after we came back from that holiday break, I heard something to the effect that the attendance people, secretaries, didn't have a code that would have excused, quote unquote, I think, and I don't know if because I know they use excused and unexcused loosely when it came to COVID absences and quarantining. And so is it worth fighting? My son's only in third grade. Like there's 10 days where he was sick with COVID during January. He didn't come back until the 17th of January.
Mhm.
And I don't even know if it's worth going back and forth with them, and how important is that for him, being that he's only in third grade. And
Right.
again,
It's a pick your battles
worth
kind of thing,
fighting.
right?
Yes, exactly.
So there's two things. The only time that you get credit for COVID absences is if you're absent for quarantine, if the school has put, like when they were doing that and stuff. So like if your kid didn't necessarily have COVID, but had been close contact and they were putting them in quarantine for like 5 days or whatever, that is where your kid would get marked absent. But when they did the quarantine work or whatever they used whatever your school used as the attendance, then they would get marked here. When your kid is out because they have COVID, it's still an absence, but they do code it differently, but they can't code it that the kid was present because they weren't out because of quarantine. They were out because they actually had COVID. So, you're out for sickness, but part of their tracking is you let them know that. So they put it in as your kid was absent because of COVID, not to be counted as chronic absenteeism and kind of thing. Okay. So the fight isn't to change it, because your kid was absent because potentially they were sick, right? But you make sure that it is put in as a COVID absent because they have COVID, not quarantine. Quarantine is different. Quarantine, they should be, as long as they do the work and they get them recorded, you make sure that they change that to they were present. But if they were sick, just make sure it gets coded as COVID sickness, not regular, so they don't get put into like a chronic absenteeism situation. I hope that helps.
Yes, thank you so much. And that's what I was concerned about, was the chronic absenteeism. Okay,
Right.
So thank you.
Mm-hmm. So then the other thing inside that we want to make sure is the assessments. So those who did take New York State assessments this year, ELA and math, the NYCSA is where you can get your results early. So when they release the results, I think like July, August, you get them first in your NYCSA as opposed to waiting for the school to give them to you in September. So it's another place of get your NYCSA where you can see the information when it's released and you have it for yourself, right? But the assessment always, I don't know if they still have, because she hasn't had yet for a while. So the assessments, it always gives you like the individual scores, not the detail. The school will still give you the detail, but you will get your scores and information based on whatever it is. My child didn't take it last year. They opted out and stuff. So that's another place also. So we already talked about the management. For those who are IEP, you click here and get your IEP information, whatever the latest information that they have in the system is very important. Always looking at it, keeping it updated, making sure it's accurate, making sure what they have is in the system accurate, as well as for those of us who do transportation, your bus information is in here. The bus information is another place that I always the information is good to have, but it's not always accurate because it doesn't get updated as quickly as it should. What I found out this year is parent coordinators have the ability to update that information directly, and so I was like, oh, really? It's not OPT or this, and they're like, oh no, we can go in and put in there. And I'm like, okay, thank you for letting me know that. I'm passing that on, so if your bus information is not accurate or stuff, you can tell your parent coordinator, could you please update the information so in my NYCSA it'll get updated, right? They can do it directly from their interface. The other 2 points I want to show you real quickly, guardians. Making sure to click in this information, everything in NYCSA connects from ATS, which is their holy grail of information on it. So whatever is in there is what should be in your NYCSA. So make sure the guardianship information is, you can take a look. They show you the authorization. So like this one, I am, the disciplinarian contact, the pickup and stuff. My sister is an emergency contact who's allowed to pick them up. You read them, you'll see the code. So you make sure that information, if you have orders of protection or anything like that, the person, listed should be the person and what their codes are there. Lisa Walsh, go ahead.
Why can I not have it list me as mother and my husband as father?
It does list that it can. So
I have not been able to get them to correct that yet.
That means you
as
have to.
Other. I can list my mother as the grandparent.
Yeah,
but
he's noted the reason for that is in ATS. He says, so ATS is very simple. O1 is mom, O2 is father. And if it's not, when you look on this page, if the relationship comes up as other, it means in ATS, he's not coded correctly as O2. So you need to go back to the school secretary and make sure they clarify it and fix it. They're the ones that I have to fix it, not a parent coordinator. I mean, some parent coordinators do have ATS access, but the ones who are asked can change an individual record is the school secretary. And so it's just having a discussion, like, what do you see in there? Like, I was like, is there some reason that it's not coding? And if they say if they have it correctly and stuff, then it's another thing that gets escalated up to DIIT to take a look at it to see. But that interface,
finding this level of policing this system a little exhausting. I'm finding it a little exhausting.
Just to let you all know, Diana Iqbal from FACE has just joined us.
Yes, thank you. And yes, Diana, Diana.
Hi, Diana.
My NYCSA partner in part of the outreach there. So, and she's good. Just okay. Y'all can still say what you need to say.
Absolutely. And yes, Lisa, it is exhausting.
It is exhausting, Lisa. It is. So the next other point I want to show is enrollment. So the enrollment, it lists where your kid was and where they're actively in. So this is another place that if you need enrollment information, sometimes you have to show where your kid is enrolled and kind of thing. Instead of another day, you don't have to wait and go to the school secretary to get it. You can print this off and it becomes your place, your proof that your student is enrolled in a particular school. So that was it. So I did the guardians for it. So cool. I stopped that. So those are the cool things that I think important things of why I think NYCSA is important for parents and stuff. Also inside of it that I came out quickly, but we did see them like the bullying reporting. If you're having bullying issues within your school and you've already brought it up to the principal and this allows you to report it to Central and to look at it in an anonymous way. You put your information, but then they will begin reporting. They will begin investigating it and taking it higher. It's a portal for parents to be able to report an incident that they feel it needs further attention. The parent university, if you know, is DOE's multimedia site that allows you to see videos and get education and courses. It is accessible through your NYCSA. So once you sign into it, you can go right to Parent University. And then we already showed you the COVID testing consent and, media consent, all the forms that they need you to fill out or want you to fill out can be found there. Then the big thing that this is education councils, the elections. They will begin, the campaign season begins January of 2023, and runs through May. And so everything goes through the NYCSA, applying to be a candidate as well as voting. And so it will be also accessible through the NYCSA. So another important reason for us as parents to be able to make sure we have our NYCSA and that it's up and running. All right, so anything, and I think Lisa Braun-Britt mentioned that he's listed in his as the father and his wife as the mother. So it's definitely a coding. And I thought it's on somebody, I think it was the data entry. It is, data entry, that is a lot of times with ATS is making one letter mistake or one and not going back and correcting it. And sometimes, and it's unfortunate that you may have to go back more than once, but it's important, especially for, making sure the right information for your student is listed and stuff. As the first time last year, my first time working with ATS, and literally one letter change in a name could send me to, think about it, the system houses all the students who have ever attended a DOE school for years, going back to its inception. So one letter, if you're Lisa Walsh, instead of, if it has somebody made a mistake and typed 2 A's at the end of your first name, I will never find you, like kind of thing, unless I have other information about you. And that becomes okay, do we have the address? Oh my God, addresses without apartment numbers. Like pulling up certain things and you see everybody that lives in this address, but they all have different apartment numbers. So it's really like a data entry thing. So that's why on us as parents, making sure that the information is clear and correct. And that's why NYCSA allows you to see that. And so Lisa, you see that that's not happening with the way your husband is coded, then you need to make sure that the school codes him correctly so it comes up in your information correct. Christine?
I have a question. So with Pupil Path, you were able to see like the running average of your child's grade, which is particularly helpful if your child has executive functioning issues. I know that a lot of parents found that helpful with missing assignments, especially during, what's with remote learning, and you can't track that in NYCSA. Has that been discussed and addressed with like finding a replacement for that?
So that's kind of like what Ron Britt was talking about, where the schools are hesitant about giving up their pupil path and grades, the other outside parties that allowed them to do that, and to allow parents to interface with that. So supposedly what that system's supposed to, the replacement or using, is to allow that functionality. I don't know if that's going to happen this year within your, kind of thing, but that aspect, using that, I know for Pupil Path, a lot of parents feel that they're, and schools don't want to lose it because of that, kind of thing. But, it's one of those things that until we see it, until we see what they will, what they replace it with might be great and what it may not be, and then we can say, well, we had this on this and we want it back, so what can we do to make it happen? But until we see it, what their replacement, we're really not going to know.
Can you tell me again, Christine, and I'll follow up right away, maybe I can get an answer for you right away. What exactly is the information on Pupil Path that you would like to see transferred to NYCSA?
It's like the running average. So if I actually go to Pupil Path right now, and I'm sorry that you had to repeat that again because I've got a couple things going on here, but let me see if I can log in.
That's fine. If it's called running average,
well, I mean, that's just, it just lists, assignments that are missing or zeros or things that, that you can, sometimes people cross-reference that with the Google Classroom. But so I think a number of parents use that, especially if kids are having like executive functioning issues and that sort of thing.
Okay, I get it. So grades and assignments, yes, there's a project that will be launched actually really soon. Having all this information in. Let me check the deadline for this. I think that it was supposed to be over the summer, but I'll check and I'll get back to you.
Thank you
so much, Diana.
Mm-hmm.
So we're heading out of time. So I want to do real quickly for those of you who don't have a NYCSA account, like showing you how you would log in. And so those of you who do, I want you to also, because you remember I'm training the trainers, I want you to be able to help a parent sign up for their NYCSA or give them the right directions to sign up for their NYCSA. So give me a second, and while I'm finding my document, and thank you, Diana, for sending me an updated.
You're welcome. And let me ask you something everyone else, before you setting it up. Did this group by any chance receive like a presentation, or would you be interested in receiving a presentation from the group that's working on NYCSA, which is not us, like we are basically customers of NYCSA, but I know that I can ask my colleagues from DIT if you did not receive it, but on the new project that will be added, updating NYCSA with grades, attendance, and messaging applications. Did this group receive it? If not, are you interested?
So I'm going to speak for the whole group. No, we didn't receive on the new project. And yes, we will do a
Got
lunch and learn or cocktail hour or breakfast, whichever one time about the new project. We would love to be able to see that and what the things and be able to be prepared and stuff, because this is
So
my
exciting.
training group, Diana. They're going to be able to tell other people what's going on. So,
Yeah. It's like I received the demo and I was so excited at the end of it. So is it okay, like if I put them in contact with you, like what's the most appropriate? Yeah, you, Cherie? Okay, got it.
Yeah,
I'll do it.
and I'll take it over for share it with ECC. Yes, absolutely. We'd love
Yeah.
that.
Perfect.
And stuff. All right. So for those of you guys who have existing NYCSA accounts, right? Here's all the, make sure you sign in every month or so or not, because if it's inactive for too long, they will deactivate it, right? So even if you sign in every once in a while, at first they had told us every 6 months. I don't go with that. Just do it like every once a month or every other month. Just sign in, click through, look at something, come out. So this way your account stays active, because if it goes too long without any activity, they will deactivate it. One of the reasons that they do that is a security check, because those accounts are attached to your students' information in ATS. So they don't want anything to be able to log in that's not consistently being used or checked or active, because it does have important student information. Sharon, if you can hold on a little, let me.
Yes, I was just going to, what you were speaking on, what happens if they deactivate your account?
You have to, if they deactivate your account, you're going to have to go through this whole process that I'm about to show you right now, which is you would have to sign up again as a whole new account. So some of you may have a NYCSA account, but it's not connected to your students' information. So like when I showed you my account and it showed the Avery information and stuff, you might have been like, wait, I can get in, but I don't have that. That means your students, your NYCSA is not linked to your students' information. So this is also a part of that process. So here we go. This is the interface for NYCSA that you come in through mystudent.nyc. And where you are going to go, you're going to create a new account. So when you click the create a new account button, you come to this screen, which is only visible when you're creating a new account. In this thing, here's a key things that you need. You have to have an active email address that you can access and get into. Because when you start and put your first name, last name, cell phone, and your email address, it is going to send you an email verification, because it needs to make sure you are who you are, and it's you are who you are by your email. So once you put in all the information here and you click through to validate email, you will get an email message to whatever email address that you put in with a 6-digit code. Now we're familiar with this, because anytime you want to sign up or log in for anything, they always want to verify your email, and they give you this code. This is a similar code. It comes from the NYCSA at schools.nyc.gov. It has a number. You have 20 minutes to put that number back into the NYCSA site, the My Student site. So this is why we always say, make sure you have the password to your email to get right in, get that code, and continue creating your account. Sorry, as I scroll through. So when you have that 6-digit code, you'll come back to this page, and then it will ask you for that number. And once you click in, put that number and click submit, you have now created your NYCSA Lite account, right? So you got to give it a password. It gives you this screen. It tells you you need a number, a special character, and 1 letter. Keep it simple, but keep it easy for you to remember. Write it down, whatever you need to do to keep these passwords. And then it gives you have to set 3 security questions. please go through these and take these serious and keep the answers, because if you have any issue that you have to reset a password or anything, these are the security questions they're going to ask you, and you have to provide those numbers. If for some reason you forget this and they will delete out the account and it'll start fresh again, right? So make sure wherever the password you create and the questions that you ask and put answers to, that you write it down and keep it and know it for when you're utilizing the account. All right, so now the next part. This is about adding your student to the account, right? Once all those other passwords and security code, you have a NYCSA Lite. Means you can get into NYCSA, but your student's information is not connected. Now you need two things to make sure that you can connect your student's account yourself. You need your student's ID number, also called OSIS, O-S-I-S. You need that. That can be found on report cards. That can be found. You can ask your parent coordinator for that code, or if you need that code. And then your parent coordinator has to give you what they call the account creation code, right? Which is a code that the parent coordinator can generate to give you to connect your NYCSA, because that code is, there's a different code for each parent and each student that's in there. So that code given to you, put it in with the ID and you can create your account. That's how you do it. If you have those things, I have my OSIS number, I have my account creation code number, and you go in and you do it yourself, and then you will connect your students' information. This system does allow you to go forward without that code, but what will happen is your parent coordinator would then have to be the one to connect it if you don't get the code from them, right? Make sense? Okay. When you have the code, you would put in your student's ID number. You got the code that your parent coordinator gives you by email, but we know some of them have given it over the phone. As long as they verify and know that it's you, that they give it to you, they can give you that code. You put that account creation code into here and click create account. And then you will begin being able to sign in, and you will be able to use it. You will see your student's number, student's information. It's a very simple process. Usually what stumbles people is the email verification or not having the OSIS or the account creation code. And then we showed you all the things that are inside. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. I saw Lupe's hand. Go ahead up. Go ahead, Lupe.
Just a quick question. And I apologize, the sound cut out for a quick second. I had to rejoin, so I might have missed this. But if we got a creation code, while online, I try to log in, and apparently mine was deactivated, and I use it quite a bit. So it's definitely, within the past few months, I know I've checked in there. But is the creation code the same if we still have that email from the parent coordinator, or once it's deactivated, do I need to request a new creation code?
If your account was deactivated, you need to get a new code from the parent coordinator. Which that, they have an access to the NYCSA from like an administrative point of view, and they can easily just generate a new code because it will come up as you're deactivated again, or you don't have an account. That's what it will come up in the list, that you don't have an account, and they can give you another code to set up.
And that means we should do that before the end of summer, or like before Monday, right?
I would definitely say do it, get that code from them before. It can be sent to you, once they can confirm who you are, they can send it by email, they can call you, kind of definitely get it before. You can get it during the summer but depending on where your parent coordinator is, because if they're working summer rising, their site might not be in your actual school building and stuff. And so that might delay being able to get that information for you and stuff. So, making sure that you try to get it in before, if you need that kind of thing. The other part I wanted to say is when you have a Lite account and you don't have a code, you can also email or call your parent coordinator and say, hey, I started it. I didn't have the code. If I don't know all this stuff kind of thing, but here's my email. If you can give them the email, they already have your students' information. They can link your account for you, which is they can go into the system, they confirm it's Lupe, and they can connect Lupe's account to her kids. Some parent coordinators who are tech savvy understand this, have gone through all the trainings that we did last year. They know this and they find it easier to do, right? If they're not busy or swamped to just help to get you connected. Some will be like, nope, I'll send you the code and you go in and do it yourself. Either way, it gets your account linked and you're active and going from there. If you lose your password or stuff, you can reset. That doesn't mean once your account is linked, that doesn't mean that you have to go through the whole thing. You can go through the reset password. That's why you make sure you keep your security questions. The only times that you have to go, that it gets deactivated, is if something, you can't find the password and you can't answer the security questions, or something happened, or you have an inactive account, then you would go through the process again and stuff. But it's really pretty simple, as we showed here. You just have to have key information, and once you have that information, you can go straight through with it. Make sense, everybody? Boom, it's 1 o'clock, and stuff. So, and there it is. We've learned all about NYCSA and stuff, but just so thank you all for bearing with us, and those who have to go can go. But just so to remember, please encourage other parents. Do you have your NYCSA? Things are about to change up. A lot of times I find this year where I've said to people, oh my God, did you see that email about this thing? And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, DOE Central sent an email about that. And they're like, and I'm like, you don't have a NYCSA, right? Because that's how they're emailing information out. So like when Summer Rising application opened, when the middle school offers went out, and just, if you're in NYCSA, you get those emails directly from Central. So whatever's going on in that time period, that's where, before it comes down to your school sending you that information and stuff. So there's another reason just to be in the know of what Central is sending out and doing, is another reason to be in your NYCSA. Because we were in our NYCSA, those of us, schools, when Pupil Path went down in January, DOE Central was able to give individual schools their NYCSA, the parents that had signed up, the families that had signed up for NYCSA. And so it became the place that they could immediately tell people, hey, Pupil Path is down, kind of through that, right? Those parents who were not in NYCSA had to get the information later, or the school had to scramble to find another way to get in contact, right, with them and stuff. So it's just another avenue in terms of communication. But remember what I said in the beginning, the NYCSA is us. It's a parent account. It's for us. It's for us to have access, and it's for us to utilize the information. So, get it, make sure we have it, make sure your other parents have it and stuff, so we're prepared. We're one ahead when January and Education Council season begins, because we're like, hey, we're already in. I can apply easily, and then I can vote. So I thank you guys. Let me see if there was any questions. Did anybody have any question on anything else? Yep. So, this is part of it, Lisa, that we're going to make sure that people get, oh, she's off, but I was reading her thing, that we get it more consistent with it. But I thank you all. Diana, were you raising your hand or saying bye?
Yeah, I just want to share with everyone that I'm setting up the meeting, the demo for you. I put you already in contact with the executive director of the team in the IIT, who is managing this. And if you allow me, or if you share your screen, or you allow me to share a screen, like really quickly to to share with this group exactly what they will be seeing. All right, so here are the new features that will be added: grades, attendance, and messaging applications.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. And you will see how in the presentation, but just for all of you who are here to decide whether or not you attend that presentation, I was really excited when I saw the demo. So I don't want to read this for you, Cherie. I send it to you and you can set it around. But daily attendance, grades for all assignments, quizzes, and exams, final grade submission by teachers. Of course, the fact that this is an application that's at no cost to school, but those are also all the systems that will be will be integrated. So I would suggest that you that you come, because it's really exciting to see how you can track your own children's attendance in addition to the grades, and then the messaging between the schools and the parents will be also facilitated through this. So there will be consistency, and especially like it's not only what Cherie demonstrated, which is like emails from us, from central offices, but there will also be easy communication from the schools to all of you, which I think that it's an added benefit. So thank you. Thanks for allowing me to do this.
Thank you for that
Absolutely.
update.
Thank you, Diana. Yes, and definitely we will put it out for when we get the demo scheduled to do it for our group to see the new one. And basically looking at what you shared there is exactly what we were able to do with like pupil path and end grade and stuff. So, hopefully, I know, Ron, that's what you were referring to, that there's some apprehension on the building leader side about what this thing is, what is going to actually be able to do. So now we know what it is. And so I think when we see the demo, we can probably say, okay, we're going to look at it. Look, every tech thing that gets new and launched has issues, sometimes, and kind of thing. And the way it gets better is user interface saying, hey, you might have thought this worked really well, but now that we're in it, it really doesn't work that way. Like it doesn't work as good. And I found when we worked with DIIT, Diana's team that I was a part of, when we suggested things, they were willing to pivot because they say, oh, this is what you're experiencing, especially when we were telling them how the parent coordinators were interfacing with the system. And they were like, really? And we're like, they need this report, they need that report. It didn't even occur to them that way. And that's because they weren't the ones that were actually using it. So, that's where us being able to be in it and work with it will be beneficial. Lupe, you had a question?
Yes, I apologize, and it may be kind of off topic, but I don't know if Diana can share her information, or if any information for somebody that we would speak to in regards to these kind of questions. But my question is, does the new, and this is very off topic, so I apologize, but I'm just curious, does the new NYC Kids Rise program, so that's the kindergarten college fund, that there's a gentleman that wanted to link with the DOE NYCSA account to see how he's created a presentation to teach parents how to set up the NYC Kids Rise account. And he would love to connect with the DOE to kind of collaborate with what they have already on their DOE website. And I don't know if Diana is the person or maybe knows the person that I can maybe direct them to.
So I am not the person, but I'd be more than happy to facilitate and find the right person. I put my email address there. If you send me some information, or if you connect us, then I will talk to that person.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
Absolutely.
this presentation. It was so well informed, and I have to run, but thanks again, guys.
Bye, Lupe. Diana, the parent guide, the parent setup guide that I showed, because the other thing I wanted to mention, I will send out, I'll have ECC send out the parent setup guide so you can see it and walk through it. Do we have that in Spanish, Diana?
We have it in Spanish. We're waiting for the other languages.
Okay, so yeah, if you could send me over the Spanish, I can send at least the English and Spanish out with our follow-up so people can see the parent guide themselves.
Yep.
All right, you guys, any other questions?
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Very
Thank you.
helpful.
I appreciate it.
Sheree.